The FDA has not evaluated these statements. Testimonials are anecdotal. Results are atypical. What happens to one person may or may not happen to you. Engage Global, Dr. Prasad, none of us are making any claims that Micro Daily, Collagen Daily, or any other Engage Global product will treat or cure any disease, but we want to tell you the science. You'll hear that today. Before we start, though, another one of the co-hosts here is Jeff Ashby. Jeff, I owe a debt of gratitude to Jeff because he and his wife persevered and pounded through my rough exterior. Jeff, can you share one of the stories with us that kind of illustrates what we're going to hear from Dr. Prasad today about the heart having the amazing ability to help itself? Okay, so share one with us. Maybe Jackie Gray, please.
All right.
Whichever one you like.
There we go. There we go. I've got two. In fact, Jonathan, maybe before Jackie's, can we go back a few years in the annals of time when Micro Daily was also known as MMF, or military micronutrient formulation. This is down the Dallas, Texas area. And let me share what happened with this young girl and what was going on with her heart. And here we go. Great to have access to this. And I remember being in the audience when Pam shared this about her daughter. So here we go.
Wonderful.
Back here now, I'm off my high blood sugar medicine, and I'm no longer pre-diabetic. I've been pre-diabetic for 10 years, and I'm no longer on any kind of medicine. Some of you may know my daughter. She's 11 years old. She's autistic. She's low verbal. Quick story. She's doing fabulous, by the way. She's riding horses right now, but she has Marfan syndrome. The Marfan syndrome causes your aortic valve to expand. When that expands, you die because of growth spurts, especially in children. So in 2015, we had an echocardiogram done to see a baseline of where it was. They told us the results came back fine. Everything was normal. We go back 9 months later, the doctor's comparing the results. He comes into the room and he shakes my hand and he says, "Pam, I am so sorry we misdiagnosed your daughter. They did not input her vital signs correctly when they did the echocardiogram. So the results, which had stretching of her aortic root, were for a woman 25 to 30 years old, not for a 10-year-old. So my daughter was living on borrowed time and I didn't even know it. The only difference that I had done with her was starting the Micro Daily in June of that year. The doctor showed me the results, and you could see where on the aortic valve there was scar tissue, meaning that it had healed itself. And that was the only thing, other than by grace of God, that she was with us. So we started on some medicine, and supposedly is going to stop the aortic root from stretching. But it's just a miracle what it does from the inside out. You were talking about how great you felt. I was feeling horrible because I was on all this medicine that I did not need to be on. And now that I'm off of it, I'm feeling freaking fantastic. I'm 50 years old, and I've got more energy than I ever had. The results I'm seeing also with Keela, since she's been on it for a long time, her speech, although it's not getting better, it's becoming clearer. She has partial chromosome deletion. That affects a lot of her speech, but it's just getting better. Her daily life is getting better. At the end of the day, she's still autistic. She'll still always be autistic. But what the MMF does for her is changed her quality of life. It's helping with the Marfan syndrome because she's no longer waking up in the morning moaning because she's in such pain. She's waking up happy. In fact, she woke up this morning singing a song. And I was like, yeah, this is the way to start your day. But overall, MMF has just been fantastic. And what it's done for me and my daughter. We cannot be happier. And I'm really looking forward to starting her on the protein shakes. It's actually pretty good. She might just go ahead and take it. But it's just been a really great thing.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
Wow.
Yeah, yep.
Wow. That's absolutely phenomenal, Jeff. Thank you very much for sharing that one. This screen right here will pop up periodically in our slides, so you can stop the share and just bring in another testimony as soon as you see it. So let's move forward because I really want to. Dr. Prasad's got a lot to tell us right now, and I really want to just everybody to understand who it is that we have at our fingertips and at our disposal here, because it's not normal for us to have access to a gentleman of this caliber. So I'm excited to introduce to you Dr. Kedar Prasad. He was a professor of University of Colorado School of Medicine for 30 years. And as you can see, he has an extensive resume, former president of International Society of Cancer and Nutrition, a member of the British Society of Medicine. Dr. Prasad was a Nobel Peace Prize nominating committee member for the candidates of medicine. He was also the world's first radiation biology PhD. His products have been awarded 7 US patents on micronutrients. So he's has been nicknamed the Einstein of our day, the godfather of micronutrients. Dr. Prasad discovered the anti-cancer potency of vitamin E succinate. He's also credited with the discovery that butyric acid, the small fatty acid that's formed by fermentation of fibers in the gut, is an anti-cancer agent. So he knows a little something about the gut as well. Oh, by the way. And Dr. Prasad is the author of some 32 books. He is currently working on his 33rd. We'll be seeing that very soon. And he's been published more than 250 times. I think it's been more than 260 times. So Dr. Prasad has thought up things that other scientists and contemporaries have not even bothered to give attention to. So we're privileged to have this level of genius at our disposal. These are just some of the books that he has written on various topics. You see cancer, you see you even see the subject we're talking about here today, right there, heart disease. In fact, we encourage you to go to Amazon, and you'll find that Dr. Prasad's latest book on dementia and memory loss, How to Prevent and Improve Treatment, is also available on Amazon. It's an educational book and is written for the public. It provides easy to follow guidelines on how to avoid the risk of memory loss. And this book also provides recent scientific information on how to reduce the risk of memory loss and how to improve current drug treatment with the help of micronutrients. So take a screenshot of this now. You got the QR code that will take you straight there, and there's individual URLs that will take you to the book on memory loss. And on the right, while you're there, get his book also on fighting heart disease with vitamins and antioxidants, and both of them are there. So you snap a screenshot of this, and then that'll get you there. I highly recommend you do it, especially the one on memory loss, before you forget. So it's my pleasure, my privilege to introduce to our discussion now Dr. Kedar Prasad. Dr. Prasad, we can't thank you enough for your willingness to join us on discussions like this today. So thank you very much, sir, for joining us. And we may need to ask Dr. Prasad to unmute. So how?
Yes, just
okay, now it's unmuted. Okay.
Perfect.
There we go. Thank you, Dr. Prasad, for joining us.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan, for inviting me. And this is a very, very important subject, as you know. And I have written a book and studied a lot, but we will see many more new information than what I had in my initial book. So I'm glad that I'm here today with you, Jonathan and Bernard, and also Jeff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We get excited every time we have an opportunity to talk to you about this. So we're looking forward to.
So this is the causes and the remedies of heart disease and a stroke.
Yes,
it is #1 killer in the United States.
Yes, go ahead, please. Whatever you'd like to share with us, the floor is yours, Dr. Prasad.
Thank you. Thank you, Jonathan. Here is how many people at present are living in the United States with heart disease or prevalence in men decreases 8.3% to 7% in 2009. So in 10 years, it has tendency to decrease overall. Prevalence in women has also some decrease from 4.6% in 2009 to 4.2% in 2019. The total direct cost of treating heart disease is $378 billion, not million.
That's a lot of money.
Billion
That's a lot of money.
And of course, most of them are paid by the Medicare. Direct cost was $226 billion. And so it is really a cost of not only the nation, but also family cost is tremendous.
Yes, indeed.
And here is number of deaths due to cardiovascular disease and a stroke in the USA. In 2019, 41% died of coronary heart disease. You can imagine. 17.2% died of a stroke. 11.7% died of high blood pressure. 9.9% died of heart failure. And it appears total number of deaths was 874,000 per year.
That's
in
my
2019, just 1 year. And it has been estimated that every 40 seconds, someone will die from myocardial infarction. And every 3 minutes and 30 seconds, somebody will die of a stroke. It is amazing statistics. It is frightening in some way.
That's incredible. So let me just since we started this discussion, there's been about a dozen people that have died from cardiovascular disease or stroke.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I think the American Heart Association has also said that COVID has contributed to an increase in cardiovascular events as well. So
yeah, it will be more. So next year statistics will be much higher.
Yeah.
But this statistic was in 2019, which was COVID was at that time not a risk factor. But now you will see both a stroke as well as the heart disease mortality. You will see very, very high. Now, there are some, so you have to, in order to reduce the risk of heart disease, you have to know what factors that increases the risk of heart disease and can we control them? Central issue. The risk factor that can be controlled, that is within our hand, are the following. Smoking. Can you imagine the smoking alone? It doubles the risk of morbidity and mortality from ischemic heart disease.
Wow.
So just stopping smoking, you can dramatically reduce the risk of heart disease and stroke. Obesity. Obesity increases high blood pressure, high cholesterol level, stress. Physical inactivity is also contribute to the heart disease risk. Poor diet means we have a poor micronutrient, also increases the risk of disease. So you can see you can control very easily obesity. You can very easily control high blood pressure because if you are not obese, you will not have high blood pressure, you will not have high cholesterol level, and also physical inactivity. You go 30 minutes walk.
That's right.
Every day, at least 5 days a week.
Just walking. Yeah, just walking alone would reduce.
Just walking alone. This is brisk walking. I think, I used to walk, but now I have a little bit back pain, so now I will be walking more. And diabetes, 68% of the adult of age 65-year-old who have a diabetes die from some heart disease and a stroke.
Wow.
You can imagine.
That's terrible. That is terrible.
No.
So those are the controllable risk factors. Now you're into
easily controlled. Very easily can be controlled, but problem is nobody follows it.
Right.
Human behavior, as I said, is difficult to change. But try to do as much as you can. If not 100%, even 50%, even 30%. Do something.
Right.
Now, age, you can control because age has to go as you grow older. There's nothing you can do about that. And interestingly, that, as you grow older, the risk of heart disease increases until you have some genetic familial history. Gender. Men are more sensitive to heart disease than women because men pay less attention to diet, lifestyle, and women are much more concerned about health.
Yep.
This is my interpretation.
That's scary.
And family history.
Well, Dr. Prasad, there's more women on this call right now than men, so you're right.
Yeah. And they're much more concerned about health, not their own health, but also family health.
That's right.
And family history. This is important, but this accounts to only 5 to 10%. For example, ethnicity, like Black Americans are much more sensitive to get heart disease than white American. Hispanic are less likely to die from heart than white people. But again, it's nothing to do with genetics. It is ethnicity because these people's lifestyle is totally different. So you can't say that say black people have a higher incidence of heart disease because it is a genetic. No, it is not genetic. Genetics component or family history contributes only to 5% of any disease, whether it is Alzheimer, whether it is heart disease or cancer.
Okay. I was wondering if it had something to do with that eating jalapenos, but
yeah. No, but and I think I know now it is even in India where it used to be mostly vegetarian, but now of course middle class have risen, and proportionally people don't pay any attention to diet and don't do any physical activity,
more
and
heart
therefore
disease.
the incidence of heart disease in even developing countries is increasing very high.
Oh, wow.
Because there is also poor diet.
Wow.
Even not only rich gets it because they are overfed, but poor gets also heart disease because they get underfed.
Nobody's exempt.
Yeah, because if you have a poor nutrition, then you have increased oxidative stress, inflammation, and increases the all kind of disease, heart disease.
What do you mean here by cellular defects causing heart disease?
Cellular defects means, for example, increased oxidative stress is a cellular defect. Cell defects, in other words, cell started producing more free radicals than before.
Okay, some damage at the cellular level. Okay.
Cell level, a damage to the cellular level. Exactly. And increased oxidative stress and chronic inflammation is another one. Because when chronic inflammation occurs, then they produce a lot of toxic chemical, and that increases the risk of heart disease.
Okay.
And then question is, what is oxidative stress? Well, first, what is free radicals? Oxygen-derived free radicals here, you see that oxidative stress occur when production of free radical exceeds our antioxidant defense system. And as you know, we have two defense systems in our body. One is antioxidant enzymes, another is antioxidant compound that we take from the diet or our body makes it.
Wow, okay. Antioxidant enzymes and antioxidant compounds.
That's how we have to make a distinction. Those are totally different. The pathway of reducing oxidative stress is totally different. And oxidative stress, when it occurs, it can damage all parts of your body: RNA, DNA, protein, lipid, membranous structure. So that's very damaging. And that this happens, then your blood vessels get problem, blood vessels, or in case of many cases, micro vessels, the large vessels in heart disease, and then you have a trouble.
This is the point you made.
Yeah, this is the antioxidant defense system, like we mentioned. You have a dietary antioxidant compound like vitamin A, C, E that we take from the diet, and endogenous antioxidant. For example, like we have coenzyme Q10, we have glutathione, and N-acetylcysteine, even though it is a synthetic compound, that increases the endogenous or body-made antioxidant, namely glutathione. So these are two defense systems we have to remember, and they work by different way to reduce oxidative stress or free radical damage.
This is all very big pluses in the body.
Yeah, they're very big pluses. And that's why even poor nutrition will increase the heart disease, because you have lower level of antioxidant defense system, and then that means you have increased oxidative stress. There is nobody to defend it. And then
like all the walls are down. All the defenses are down.
Yeah. Now, the question is how we can reduce it. It's very important. You can't reduce it by giving just one agent. For example, if you give hydrocortisone, that reduces inflammation, but has nothing to do with oxidative stress. So here is how you reduce it. The elevation of the level of antioxidant enzyme and dietary and body-made antioxidant compounds is essential for reducing both oxidative stress and chronic inflammation at the same time.
Yeah.
And if it happens, it will lead to decreased risk of heart disease. It's very important to remember. that they have to be reduced at the same time, both. One cannot happen without the other.
That's huge.
And among all the agents, like there are many herbal products you are sold in the marketplace, and one of them is Protendum that many
Right.
people have
Right.
a lot of followers.
Raises glutathione, but doesn't do anything else on.
They just increase the antioxidant enzymes, which will increase glutathione peroxidase enzyme, antioxidant enzyme, just one enzyme.
Right.
You have other enzyme too, but it doesn't do. But it cannot increase the body-made antioxidant or dietary antioxidant, which are extremely important.
Right.
So micro daily can the only agent in my opinion, and literature will support that, which can increase the level of antioxidant enzyme by activating NRF2. You may have heard NRF2 is a transcriptional factor.
Yes.
And when they get activated, they started producing a lot of antioxidant enzymes.
Wow.
Not only they produce antioxidant enzyme, they also produce, cytoprotective agents, another kind of like, for example, the cleaning up all the debris and other things. There are some enzyme like a lysosomal time. So they have not only increased antioxidant enzyme, but they also increases what is called a cytoprotective enzyme, which removes bad protein from your body.
I hope everybody's paying attention to that. NRF2 is a big deal. NRF2 is a big deal, folks.
Yeah, NRF2 is a very big deal. And the only way, what happens that in heart disease, generally NRF2 requires a free radical to activate them. If you are doing a short exercise, moderate exercise, NRF2 will get eliminated because they are producing free radical. So under normal condition, under low free radical condition, NRF2 will require free radical. Without free radical, it cannot be activated. But what happens in chronic diseases, any heart disease, Alzheimer, any chronic diseases, now you have increased oxidative stress, NRF2 is there, but it's not responding. It is not being activated. So they become resistant to free radical activation that was normally present when you have a moderate exercise. You see the difference?
Wow.
And then you say that if you become resistant to ROS or free radical, then how do you activate them? That comes again micronutrient that we have in EMF.
Yes.
A micronutrient that will activate the free radical resistance NRF2 to produce antioxidant enzymes. That's why microdaily EMF is so important.
And this has to be understood very clearly by folks that are here right now, that we're not just talking about another vitamin. This is truly impacting the body on a cellular level. So, but Dr. Prasad, we have another testimonial that we'd like to share.
Sure.
That will help everybody to just understand. Again, this is for real. So we shared the disclaimer just a moment ago. But Jeff, go ahead, share with us another one of these stories.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. This is Jacqueline Gray.
Well, my name is Jacqueline Gray, and I was introduced to micronutrients about a year ago. And my husband and I, we decided to take a look at it and do some research on it prior to even taking the pills. However, during that particular time, especially at work, I was under a lot of stress and my blood pressure was uncontrolled, unbeknownst to me. And I had to go in the hospital because I couldn't breathe. I knew prior to why I couldn't breathe, because basically I was in the hospital in 2017 with the same condition, but it was a little worse in 2006. No, it actually got worse in last March, when I was in a hospital. I had to be hospitalized for it. The doctor came in and said that my injection fraction was 29%,
wow,
which was not good. And then when we did our follow-up visit, my husband and I with the doctor, he said to us that it wasn't good. That was not a good place to be in. So we sought out a second opinion. And from the second opinion, the doctor told us that what I had could be reversed. However, he thought it to be a mitral valve prolapse. The mitral valve prolapse, he said, if it was severe, I would have had to have open heart surgery. But if it was not severe, then medications would control it. Being introduced to micronutrients, we decided that we would try that along with the regimen that I was on. And I would say a month later, because I had to go to the doctor every month at this point. A month later, when he did the ultrasound on my heart, he said that, no, I'm sorry. He did the CTA, which is a CAT scan of the heart, so he can get a really good look at what was going on with my heart. He said that the heart looked like it had started to repair itself and that I did not need surgery. So that was the first good news. The second good news came the following month, when he said that now my heart looks like it was into full repair, whereas the first doctor said that the injection fraction would never repair itself, it would never reverse, it would only get worse, and I would have to only control it. But now with this doctor and with taking micronutrients, that's the only thing I can liken it to, because that's what changed in my life when I started taking that, the micronutrients. The heart actually repaired itself and the mitral valve actually repaired itself. So the injection fraction went from 25% now to 49%.
Wow.
Which the doctor was telling my husband and I was technically unheard of. Basically, he was shocked, and so were we, that my heart actually repaired itself. My sister, unfortunately, had a similar heart condition to mine, and she passed away December 3rd from the condition. And this was after I had told her about taking the micronutrients, but she didn't take it. And I did. And I'm still here to tell the story. So I'm extremely happy about that.
Fantastic.
We're happy about.
What a story. That's amazing.
I think when
Yes.
you hear someone talking about their heart repairing itself like that, Dr. Prasad, what do you think?
That's amazing. That's amazing. And also that, I mean, that's the first evidence came that you will see Maverick trial, that how the micronutrient can modify the tissue modification. That's what it is. Repair was a tissue modification. And the first evidence that micronutrient can do it, you will see the Maverick trial that we have. I will show you soon. And so I'm totally surprised. And especially in heart, microvalve. I mean, so many people have that problem, and they go through all kind of surgery and doesn't do any good, and so life becomes terrible.
Wow, that's powerful. So, well, we're glad that that it happened that way for her.
Yes.
And it's clear that it's evidence, supporting evidence, corroborating evidence that that indicates that what you observed in the laboratory could be true.
Yeah, exactly.
So you've encouraged us to take the product twice a day. So
Right.
Go ahead and give us the rationale for taking microdaily twice a day.
Here's the rationale that, when we take orally micronutrient, they are eliminated from our body at a different rate, and approximately half of them are removed by evening and another half next morning. And if you take once a day, so this causes, if you take only once in the morning, will cause fluctuation in the micronutrient level in your cell. And that causes extensive alteration in the gene expression.
Mm.
And if you take it twice a day, then they remain relatively stable. And that will reduce the fluctuation of the level of the micronutrient that your body has. And if you don't do it, if you just take a once a day, that continuously changing the gene expression, they can do one-time error, and that can cause mutations, means DNA can do some mutation. And not all mutations are harmful, but one of them could be harmful. And therefore, in order to maintain a steady state of micronutrient in our body, we recommend that you take it twice a day in order to avoid potential risk of a harmful mutation.
So that would be at least every 12 hours.
Every 12 hours, yeah. Morning
Beautiful.
and evening.
Mhm.
And here's one of those examples. You can see the control where there is a treated cell. This was neuroblastoma cell with vitamin E succinate. And just give it 2 micrograms, which does not do anything. It does not change the growth of anything. So it looks exactly like same. But if you see that gene expression, the red is very highly expressed. More changes occur. The more changes, you can see that in a control you have up, but down a stair here in the middle, there's a dramatic change in gene expression. And if you increase the dose, you can see that a whole bunch of change occurs. There were 12,000 genes that when I was in Denver, I didn't do the experiment myself. My postdoctoral fellow did, but he did excellent job. You can see that there is a dramatic alteration when you compare with the control versus treated cells. Even a small dose of vitamin E succinate can alter dramatic amount of alteration. And so there is a concentration difference. And you can see that between 2 and 20 micrograms, there is vitamin E succinate, there is a tremendous difference in gene expression.
Wow.
And as you can see that, so if you don't take care of this fluctuation of the level, you will see these kind of changes every day.
Wow.
If you do changes every day, one time the DNA can do mistake. Gene means DNA. You can mistake and can induce mutation. And therefore, in order to avoid those kind of potential problems, 10 years, 20 years down the line, we say take twice a day.
It only takes one mistake to turn a
right.
gene
That's
into
right.
a cancer cell. So,
Yeah, right, exactly.
wow, that's huge.
Now you can see that most of the clinical trial and still what is going on, they do with one antioxidant. And I will give you have heard about good example would be beta carotene trial in a heavy smokers, and the result was increased risk of lung cancer. Here is the heart disease. It was very then first question is why they were doing it. If you know this thing, you will say, why the guy from bigger school like Harvard, Yale, why they did it? When antioxidant can be harmful in high-risk population, this is not my discovery. This has been known for many years ago. Individual dietary antioxidant compound like vitamin E, C, or beta carotene, no matter from where they come, when they get oxidized in the presence of high oxidative environment, they act as a pro-oxidant rather than as an antioxidant. It is very important to remember.
That's not good.
It is not good. So, and all the high-risk people like heart disease, for example, or cancer, or any chronic diseases, they always have a high oxidative environment in their body. A smoker, obese people. So if you just give one vitamin E or C or anything, if it's a short-term experiment, they do not do anything. But if it's a long-term experiment, they will be oxidized and then act as a free radical rather than as antioxidant.
Make the whole situation worse.
Worse. And this is what happens. This is exactly what happens. Either have no effect, if you have so here is the HOPE trial, which was a very famous trial. It requires a lot of New York Times wrote that how bad vitamin E is for your health. But here is the real story. In HOPE trial, which is called Heart Outcome Prevention Evaluation. There were 9,000 patients with high risk of cardiac events. Vitamin E was given 400 international unit for 4.5 years, and it was follow-up for a long time. And analysis of they published 5 different papers showing the following. They had no effect on primary endpoints like myocardial infarction, stroke, death, and another is the IMT.
No effect.
Yeah. And most secondary endpoint like unstable angina, complication of diabetes, revascularizations, nephropathy, and renal insufficiency. They were measuring all these things as a secondary one. There was no effect.
Wow.
But vitamin E increased the risk of the secondary endpoint, namely heart failure.
Wow.
It's surprising they didn't do the other one because it would require 2 major events. But vitamin E, even here, they increase the risk of heart failure. So then they said, don't take vitamin E.
Wow.
That was amazing. But this was, so I wrote a review and severely criticized these things.
Not a good study.
No, not good study. I mean, if you know that it eventually is going to be oxidized, and therefore it was a fallacy. And they did not control any other variables, so it was a poor study. There's another study called heart protection study. And here they did 3 different vitamin C, vitamin E, and I think it was beta carotene. And they found in combination simvastatin, which is a Lipitor. It is kind of a heart medication. And they found that the effectiveness of simvastatin or cholesterol-lowering drug did not improve by any of these methods. And of course, they would not do it. But at least they have some other antioxidant that they can protect each other. But anyway, they didn't show any improvement, any effect.
Okay.
You see what I mean? Because
Yes.
since they added a 3, you can say that they prevented each other oxidation. So
Right.
they didn't show any effect. And they were combining with cholesterol-lowering drug. And I will show you that how in a Maverick trial, how our product is so effective.
Gotcha. Okay. So this is the bad publication that came out as a result of these poorly done studies.
Yeah, and then somebody did a meta-analysis, and those variation you can see there, those variation was so much in all beta carotene, vitamin A was 200, in some cases, what 200,000 international unit. They were using it. So they all lumped it together and write a review.
Oh, wow.
How would you compare from one study to another?
Wow.
This is disgraceful.
Wow.
But they were published in a JAMA, which is very famous journal of American Medical Association. And so anyway, this kind of analysis of the published information with a single antioxidant, they were not in a combination. And even in a single antioxidant, the dose variation was so much from one study to another that it is not possible to make any conclusion, would nevertheless, that it was published. I would have reviewed, I would not have recommended for publication. But
did you all hear that? Dr. Prasad said this was disgraceful. I just want to put that on the record.
Yeah, it is, because you can see how the variation in the doses are. Beta carotene is from 1 milligram to 50 milligram. Vitamin A, here it is. Yeah. Now you see the Maverick trial. This was done with our microdaily alone, not EMF. At that time, we didn't have an EMF, but it was microdaily original. And this study was performed in collaboration with Dr. Jeff Boone, who is a cardiologist for Denver Bronco and also have a private practice in a hospital. This study was performed for 12 months period, and changes in lipid profile and carotid IMT. IMT is an intima media thickness of the carotid artery. This is very important because if this thing is thick, the blood doesn't go to your brain and you may have a stroke.
Yeah, that's a serious problem.
Very serious. So plaque after 6 months, so the carotid IMT plaque after 6 and 12 months, they measure the plaque by ultrasound, and they have a machine to measure it exactly how much. Okay, in a firefighter, you can see that. Then here is the summary of the trial. There was 57% decrease in LDL cholesterol. As you know, higher the LDL, greater is the risk of heart disease. 21% is increase in HDL, which is protective for your heart problem. And 30% shows improvement in this ratio. And this is a good sign because your HDL is higher. So it also, in addition to that, and that's why it is as good lipid profile improvement as you will see simvastatin or any cholesterol lowering drug like Lipitor. And as I mentioned earlier, Dr. Boone started calling microdaily as poor man's Lipitor because it improved the lipid profile exactly the same as the Lipitor.
Wow.
But one thing Lipitor did not do it is the microdaily prevented age-related increase in carotid IMT thickness or plaque formation.
Oh my goodness.
This is very important. This is the first evidence that a tissue modification occurred because the Lipitor or simvastatin in this case, which is earlier cholesterol-lowering drug, they did not do it at all, zero. They continue to increase in a plaque formation as you know, as the Lipitor. Lipitor didn't do anything. Next slide, you see that it will be very.
I'm hung up on the fact that number one, this guy is smiling. It makes me think about that commercial where that woman is dancing, claiming that she's down with Crestor. But this guy here, he's smiling because he's down and he didn't do anything like any of those other drugs. So
there is no other drug. He was just pure. This is one place where he didn't have any. Just had either.
Dr. Prasad, you have given us solid reason for taking microdaily and micronutrients, even if we're not seeing any other reasons. It's like the doctor telling the person to take a baby aspirin for the rest of their life. You've given us a solid reason to take something, no matter what we think or claim we feel or don't feel going on in our body. Thank you very much.
Yeah, exactly. Do as much as you can, modify diet, do exercise and all those things, but have these things in your system.
That's huge. That's huge. Can we, before we go on with your Maverick study, can we take a look at another one of these testimonials? Because Jeff is just oozing with this stuff. And you know how Jeff can be a little bit annoying with wanting to show these testimonials. He's got this massive library of them. So
I know.
Jeff, what you got up your sleeve now? So let's see one of these stroke or heart disease ones that you've got up your sleeve now.
Absolutely. In fact, this goes back quite a few years ago. In fact, David Nemelka was sitting in the audience as an investor, but not taking the product himself. That's how many years this goes back, but it is one of my favorite. And so she still references it as MMF, and it was these packages that she was that she will reference. But yeah, it goes back almost 9.5 years ago. So pretty amazing. This is here she is.
Just to give you a little information on my background, I've been a nurse for 23 years. I was born with congenital heart disease. I've had 4 open hearts. In 2007, I went into heart failure, and they found out I had cardiomyopathy. I had no blood circulation. My heart function was down in the 20s, and got on a regimen of medications, and the doctor said, hopefully we'll bide you 10 years, and sent me home. Just recently, they ended up putting a defibrillator in me in case I went into cardiac arrest. And as I've aged, I've gotten worse, and because of all my open heart surgeries, I've had severe pain through my back, my legs, intolerable pain in my legs. So when she brought this to me, a friend of mine, Kathy, she says, try this. And I looked at her and I said, I have nothing to lose. Okay. My last appointment with my cardiologist, I was in BTAC for 15 beats.
Mm.
And that's right before you go into cardiac arrest. I don't do this. Anyway, I asked him, when does the defibrillator kick in? He says on the 16th beat if we can't pace you out of it with your pacemaker. My comment to him was, I hope I die before that happens, because I've been shocked. I don't have enough fingers and toes to count how many times I've been shocked. I asked him, what do I do? And he goes, live your life. I turned 50 this year. I started the MMF 2 weeks ago. I'm on my 3rd packet. I no longer have this severe pain. My kidney functions were out of whack because I was taking so much ibuprofen. They weren't functioning. I no longer take ibuprofen, once in a while with Tylenol. But the day I took it, my daughter asked me if I was on amphetamines. Because I'm the girl that comes home, all I can do to get through a day, and I hit my bed. On the weekends, I don't go out. And since MMF, I no longer take naps. I have so much energy, I feel like I'm on speed. But I'm here to tell everyone this has changed my life.
Wow.
Wow.
Not usually. Booby. I did go through some.
Yeah. You know, when you're
That's-
sitting there in the audience, and this was almost 10 years ago.
And my hair stands.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's changed your life. And so thanks, Jonathan, for letting me share that one. It's not one that I get a chance to share too often. And it was very fitting for today.
Let's
And-
talk. Yes. Yes.
and our-
definitely.
and our comments. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. That was an incredible. Thank you very much for sharing that one on Jeff. Does that kind of agree, Dr. Prasad, with everything that you're
I mean, these are very unexpected. I would not have imagined to have that in such a serious situations. And but as I said earlier, that only a few years ago that vitamin acted as antioxidant, and that's about it. But now many function of antioxidant has nothing to do with antioxidant, namely destroying just free radicals. It has some other effects, like you will see now, and you are seeing by the testimonial.
Mhm.
And here is the 6-month results. And here to emphasize is the thickness of the carotid artery. We call it intima, IMT. And this is a carotid artery that you go to your brain and feed the brain with the bloods. And you can see that here, in a control, means simvastatin, they were taking it. They did not. They have a 0.056 millimeter thickness, but you can see in a Maverick trial or in an antioxidant group or macrodaily or MMF at that time was MMF at that time. You can see that there is very little rise in the IMT thickness, carotid IMT thickness.
Wow.
And the next slide, you'll see that here you can see that the cholesterol lowering drug by itself, you can see that has a remain high, and the group which was treated with MMF, they had zero, no growth.
Oh, wow.
Decreases. I mean, this was the most astounding finding. That is the time for the first time I thought that they can modify tissue. And then some people reported, our customers, that somebody has some kind of growth on their feet or toe, and they started taking it and they disappeared.
Wow.
I also told you that, a friend of my postdoctoral, one of my postdoctoral fellow, has a nose cyst, was getting bigger and bigger. And then at that time I didn't have any formulation developed, but I had discovered the vitamin E succinate. So I said, well, why don't you go and buy vitamin E succinate and try? I don't know what will happen. After a week, I said, well, your nose is getting smaller. What you are doing? He said, well, what you suggested, I went and bought vitamin E succinate and started taking it.
Oh, my
And he
God.
had an appointment with surgery. I said, you go and take your appointment. And surgeon said, you don't need a surgery. Otherwise, they were going to have surgery.
Oh, my goodness.
So these are the modification of your tissue. Anytime you have a little bit of normal growth or some problematic,
Yeah. Yeah.
they try to restore it.
That
Repair.
is incredible.
It
Wow.
is incredible.
Yeah, keep that in mind, folks. Vitamin E succinate is a big, big deal, and it's in microdaily. But go ahead, Dr. Prasad. You now have identified that collagen peptides even plays a role.
Yes, that's amazing. Though. Supplement with collagen peptide reduces a stiffness of the artery. Sometimes, if you have a heart problem, then the artery gets stiff, and that reduces the blood supply. So this increases microdaily dilation of the blood vessel by producing nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a gas. Generally in your body, it is produced by arginine. And arginine, but you can't take an arginine supplement because it is not absorbed.
Right.
And so that's why in a protein drink that we are going to make it, we have recommended a citrulline. Citrulline, if you take a lot of, when I was in India, I used to have a lot of eat watermelon, seasonal. Watermelon is the richest source of citrulline.
Oh, wow.
And as a matter of fact, citrulline is isolated from watermelon. No other fruits have that much. And so it is absorbed quickly, get converted to arginine, which produce nitric oxide, then you have vasodilation.
Oh, my goodness. Don't tell me. I got more reasons to eat watermelon, Dr. Prasad. Thank you very much for sharing that.
Whenever season is there, we always have a watermelon for me.
Oh, my goodness. Now, you got one more strong argument with regard to heart disease, but this has to do with the probiotic in our gut.
Yeah. And you can see the gut dysbiosis, as I defined earlier. Dysbiosis means the bacteria ratio has increased in favor of toxic bacteria. And this toxic bacteria will produce a lot of pro-inflammatory cytokines, which is very damaging to you. But in this case, they produce a specific compound, trimethylamine, a specific compound, which is absorbed and then travel to the liver, where it is oxidized by free radicals to form a TMAO that is very toxic. They convert it to another compound, which is very, in other words, this is oxidized trimethylamine, and which is very toxic. And so if you have intestinal dysbiosis, that is a problem, not only from this point of view, but also they produce a lot of pro-inflammatory cytokines, which get absorbed and can damage your system.
Oh, my goodness. Dr. Prasad, are you telling me if I'm really, really gassy that I could be having a heart attack? Oh, my goodness.
I know. The liver disease releases this compound, oxidized TMA, and then is elevated in the heart. So whenever you have heart disease, this compound is elevated. And this is because of the dysbiosis in the gut. There is no other place it can come.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, this is scary, Dr. Prasad. There's a lot of folks.
Very scary. Yeah.
A lot of folks need to hear this, Dr. Prasad. But go ahead, give us your concluding remarks then, because this
Concluding remarks is microdaily.
Blow my mind. But go ahead.
Microdaily EMF would reduce oxidative and chronic inflammation that play a key role in the development and progression of heart disease. Collagen peptide may help to reduce heart arterial stiffness and increase blood flow and by dilating the blood vessel. And they can also improve the lipid profiles. Probiotic improve function of heart patient with heart disease. This is very important. Therefore, it is very important to have all these three: microdaily EMF, collagen peptide, and probiotics that we have. These three will reduce not only the risk of developing, but also reduce the progression of the heart disease. So if you have already some kind of heart disease, that will reduce the progression, so you will have a good quality life. And again, if the doctor has recommended any prescription drug, it does not interfere with that.
Yeah, do what the doctor says, and that's okay. This is huge, Dr. Prasad. Before I go to the next slide here and wrap up our discussion, someone raised a question about this taking microdaily twice a day. Folks start to get nervous that when the recommendation is to take it twice a day, in their mind, if they've only been taking it once a day, they think they're heading toward the morgue now.
No. It won't be as effective.
Okay.
Because the genetic alteration that I was taking to you take a long time, 10, 15 years to express it. But when you are developing a product, you are developing from a long-term point of view. So if you are taking once a day, say, for example, it is better than taking no vitamin at all. But at that moment, I would say it is better to take two so that you get an optimal benefit. I want you that you get an optimal benefit, not partial benefit.
There we go. So, and folks need to understand that when Dr. Prasad warns us about something or encourages us to do something, it's so that we get the best. There's no way on earth that this man would give us something that's going to do us harm and kill us or cause us physical harm. So please set that aside going forward. He's just telling us the best way to do something. That's all. And then one more question, Dr. Prasad. Someone says, what about a 93-year-old parent or mother? She's got congestive heart failure, hardening of her aortic valve. Would the collagen by itself benefit her?
Collagen by itself, no.
So she really needs to start with the base of microdaily
EMF, because as you saw that, the microdaily can reduce a stiffness, but there are many other factors working towards your poor heart condition. So if you just removing the arterial stiffness is not going to help too much. Mm-hmm. And therefore, I would say that I don't know, it may do some good, but not a very optimal good. So at least you must have a EMF and collagen peptide, and probiotic is extremely important. You saw that.
Right.
They not only produce a pro-inflammatory cytokines, but they also produce trimethylamine, which is very toxic, because when they get oxidized, they become very toxic. And in heart disease, they are elevated in your blood.
Right. Yeah, that's a bad thing. That's a bad thing. Well, somebody else is, and I always get this, Dr. Prasad, some folks will say, well, which microdaily is the best one for this condition or that condition? Can I make a comment here real quick on this?
Sure.
Folks need to understand something. All of the studies that Dr. Prasad did involved the original formula. Mm-hmm. The original formula is what this all started with. If for some reason the best the person can afford is the original formula, you can't go wrong. But if you want the best of what Dr. Prasad has produced, you go to the EMF. So there's no such thing as which formula should I take, original, methylated, or EMF. You go with what your budget can bear. You just go with that, and you can't go wrong with it. So we recommend across the board, we recommend what you see on the screen, Dr. Prasad's choice. Not because it's the only thing that can work for you. Any of the microdaily formulas will work for you, but the best one just happens to be EMF because it has all of his latest science and research in it. We highly recommend that you make sure that you add the probiotic boost to the conversation. And if you really want to take it up a notch, you add the collagen daily at the very least. But I'm here to tell you right now, I won't go one single day without this brain boost from here going forward. I
Yes.
started out with I tried to get by with just one a couple times a day, Dr. Prasad.
Yeah.
I wasn't feeling it. But when I take 2 of them in the morning,
Huh?
then if I start dipping around noon again, I take 1 or 2 more again. And then if I have to do something with you, I got to make sure I take another one because I'm gonna forget something. But it fires up my brain like nothing else. I can't even believe how much I retain since I've been on the brain boost. So, folks, I have to just tell you, folks, do whatever you can. You have to beg, borrow, steal. I don't recommend stealing, but whatever you have to do, you really want to just be on all of this if you possibly can. Do whatever you can to get on all of it. But in order of priority, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. In my opinion, Dr. Prasad might reverse these 2, but that's my opinion.
No, but the probiotics will be number 2.
Yeah, I got probiotics as number 2.
Oh, I can't see it. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you are correct.
Probiotics number 2, and then I claim brain boost to be number 3 and collagen number 4. But like I said, Dr.
Yeah,
Prasad,
that depends on whether, sometimes you may not have a brain issue, then you don't. Sometimes you have eye issue, then
we
you
all have brain issues, Dr. Prasad.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But somebody, some people that are young may not have any, so.
No. Young people especially have brain issues. Yeah.
you-
So everybody need to be on that brain boost. So that's all it is to it. So there you have it. I think that's it. There's the price, folks. And it's very simple. There's really nothing else to discuss. We'd love to take some of your questions right now, but I warned you at the beginning that this was going to be an in-depth, detailed discussion. And believe me when I tell you, Dr. Prasad condensed it. He condensed it. And we squeezed in a couple of testimonials there because we really wanted to illustrate that this is not just smoke and mirrors. This is not just fluff, okay? Take a screenshot of this picture, folks. Take a screenshot. Get that QR code. It will take you directly to the book on dementia. So you want to get that before you forget. And I'm saying that kind of in a pun, but I'm serious about that. Get that book before you forget. Make sure you add that to your library. And for everyone else, if you were invited here by somebody that cared about you, call them up. Go back to the person who invited you here today, and they will help you set up your own personal subscription for the products. They will guide you as to what to do and how to get yourself started with these amazing products. I've got one more question here that popped up in the chat, Dr. Prasad. I take blood thinners, heart and blood pressure medicine. Will it interact with Dr. Prasad choice? I'm going to say no, but please go ahead and comment, Dr. Prasad, about this interacting with blood thinners.
No, not at all. Not at all.
There you go, folks. And that's about the 50,000th, 11th time that Dr. Prasad has commented on the interaction with prescription medicines. It doesn't matter what prescription medicine you're taking. There is no contraindication. Because this is the food that's missing from food. That's what Dr. Prasad has.
Right. Exactly.
So somebody slipped up and took it out of our food. Dr. Prasad said, no, here you go. Let's put it back in the food. So it's a beautiful thing. So let's see here. Jeff, did you have one more story you want to sneak in here before we wrap up? We've hit the top of the hour.
Let's just wrap. I don't think that we can do anything more than what we've done.
Okay, I think that it's all been nailed down to the core. Dr. Prasad, we cannot thank you enough for what you share with us, sir. You bring a tremendous amount to the table, and I think that anyone who listens to this presentation today is going to be better and will live better. Their lives will change if they listen to this presentation today. And we encourage our folks to just share this with anyone. Now, we're going to be talking to Dr. Prasad again on next Sunday. And off the top of my head, Dr. Prasad, I can't remember what our discussion is going to be, but I guarantee you, folks, we're going to be getting back around to diabetes again very, very soon. Dr. Prasad's got some new research that he's going to be sharing with us. So don't want to miss next Sunday, okay? You want to make sure that you're here for next Sunday, no matter what, at 5:00 p.m. And Engage Global will announce the topic as soon as it's the final decision has been made on that. So
and Wednesday is Ask Dr. Prasad because it is the first Wednesday of the month. It's actually Wednesday the 1st of March, if you guys can believe it. So we'll
That
see
is
you all.
hard. That is hard to
Oh,
believe,
Wednesday.
Jeff. To think that this coming Wednesday is already the first of the month of March. But
Yeah.
Yep.
and folks, if you want to unmute yourselves now and say goodbye to Dr. Prasad, you can unmute yourselves. Thank you both for joining us.
Thanks so much, Dr.
Thank
Prasad.
you so much.
Wow,
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Prasad.
Thank you, Dr.
Good night.
Dr. Prasad.
Bye.
Thank you, Dr. Prasad. We love you, Dr.